Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the L Forum Leadership Speak series. We have embarked on this new journey of talking to entrepreneurs about empowerment being a competitive advantage in their organizations. Today, I have the pleasure and privilege of inviting a very dear friend, Madhu Hittuvalli, Managing Partner of NStarX. Welcome to the show, Madhu.
Thank you, Ringo. Nice to be here.
Likewise, it's a pleasure to have you here, Madhu. And I'm sure, in your pretty interesting journey as a professional and entrepreneur, you have probably had a lot of war stories to share. So for the audiences here, I'd love to hear your journey as a leader, Madhu.
Thanks, Ringo. I don't know, journey as a leader. I will just first of all explain my whole journey till now, and then maybe that also covers some of the points what I learned along the way, which could be relevant to our discussion. So basically, I'm a mechanical engineer, graduated nearly 32 years back from IIT Kharagpur, and then tried my hand at mechanical engineering for a couple of years with Bajaj Auto in Pune, where I went through the shop floor and the manufacturing, assembly lines, and it was an interesting couple of years. But I realized that I was not really cut out for a long-term career as a mechanical engineer. Then went to IIM Calcutta. That was 92 to 94, and after that started my career with Pfizer in Bombay. Was there for about a year and spent about nearly 4.5 years with ICI Paints. I think that was my longest stint in India, where I started off as an area manager, branch manager, got promoted to regional sales manager, handling entire western region, including Bombay, which was more than 25% of the overall company revenues for the paints business. After that, I had a brief stint, about a year, with Coca-Cola, where I was heading the sales operations initially for South Karnataka, excluding Bangalore. Later on, for some time, I was handling overall total Karnataka. So that was my journey in India. And during the Y2K time, I sort of had an opportunity to move to the US, and I was looking for some change. I had no connection with IT. I didn't know anything about, I'd never written a line of code in my life, still haven't. So, but there was an opportunity at that time. A lot of companies were trying to expand, and IT services companies, and they were trying to look for people who had some sort of a business background, sales, marketing, business development, though they may not be, technical, but they had this kind of business experience. So there was a big group of people from that time. You might remember, Ringo, a lot of people, when you were in Infosys too, a lot of
Absolutely.
people.
Those are the days when we hired any IIT I am walking around would be hired.
A lot of people. So I was part of that gang. Not only me, there were a few other friends, who were with me in Coca-Cola, Asian Paints, ICI Paints. There was a whole bunch of gang of guys with that kind of background who moved to the US with different companies. And I also later on moved to the Chicago area. I was handling ERP sales for Birlasoft for a very short time again, and it was a tough transition, because from a position in Coca-Cola or ICI Paints where you're still in your 20s and you're leading a team of more than 200 people, you're handling sort of responsible for a large team of large network of dealers, distributors. It was a heady position, and from there you come to IT services, where you practically pick up the phone and your boss is asking you how many calls did you make and how many doors you're opening. It was a tough journey, but again, I think it was an eye-opener, right? It really made you humble, and I think that is very important as to be a leader. I think the first lesson is humility, right? You need to really face these doors shut in your face. People ask, just dropping the calls on you, or canceling appointments or whatever. That's all part of the journey, if you ask me. So anyway, long story short, after that, I started a company, IT services company. I thought, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to have this kind of a tough journey, might as well try do something on our own. And by the time I had got the EAD and at least the immigration side, things were sort of stabilizing. So me and my partner, I had a colleague who was actually my colleague in St. Louis for many years, and I thought that he would be a great guy to start something with. And good news is we are still together after more than 16, 17 years. So we started this company at that time called iTalent. Basically, we were focused on typical consulting business, right? Just getting on-site consulting, nothing, no project-based work, just basic consulting work. The whole idea was, can this support two of us? And we struggled for the first 6 months. There was no income. It was tough. But finally, we managed to sort of break even. And then slowly, we did that for a couple of years. At that point of time, we thought, there was a huge opportunity to do actual project work, right? Little move up the value chain rather than just consulting. You're not really doing anything. You're basically a headhunting firm. So we wanted to move up the value chain. And that's when we tied up with my friend who had just set up a company in Bangalore, Riyadh. So that is when we started looking for projects, and we did some amazing projects through this company in Bangalore, which was also started by my friend and IIT batchmate. So basically, we built a lot of healthcare solutions. We started working on a credentialing system. We built the electronic health record system. There were many EHRs in the market, but we were the first ones actually to build a cloud inpatient system that actually got certified by the Health and Human Services Department. That was a big milestone for us. That gave us a lot of credibility. We were able to get more projects. We grew the team in Bangalore to, I think, more than 120, 130 people, right, at its peak. Of course, that company later on got acquired by a large healthcare publicly listed company. And then, of course, we lost that business. But then we kept getting other projects, and that was part of the thing. So that's the journey. And after that, of course, we started a ServiceNow practice. We got out of this. We sold the ServiceNow practice. Today, we have rebranded ourselves as NStarX. We are basically an IT services company, very clearly focused on product development and product engineering, working mostly with startups and mid-sized companies. We don't go after the big Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 companies. We know our niche. And we work with very interesting products. We work with entrepreneurs, people who are building products, building cloud solutions, building mobile apps. They want a team that can really build, take their idea that is in their head to an actual real live product, but at a very reasonable cost, who are very flexible, and who can also do it in a timely manner. So that is our segment today, and we are doing some really good work. So that's been my journey so far. And we have a team in Hyderabad today of about close to 100 people, and we still leverage our friend's company in Bangalore, which has another 100 people. And we are now starting an AI practice, and we are hiring and bringing on board, actually, we're going to have stake in the company, a team of 4 really senior folks from the industry. Many of them are, my juniors and people I know from at various stages of my career. Some of them are real experts in the AI space. More than 20 years, they've written published papers, they've done stuff, serious stuff in AI, and we are asking them to help us build an AI practice. So we are going to be hiring quite a few people in Hyderabad and build this practice. So that's where we are today. Now, coming to your question about as a leader, all I can say is what my learnings from this journey is that please don't think that everybody has a great master plan and then you execute that and it works out. It never works out like that. You look at any company, the way where they started, what their initial aim was, you'll meander along and find a niche, but it's not gonna, and there'll be many misses. I mean, just as an example, look at IBM, right? I mean, what was IBM or even Wipro? They were all selling boxes, right? They were selling hardware. And I remember Wipro used to sell fax machines. I don't know if you're aware. They had a tie-up with Acer. I think Acer was a Taiwanese company, I think. And they used to sell their computers, desktops, and also fax machines. Who knew that, they're going to become so big in the services space? Same with Infi. Right. I remember one of my distant relatives. He was actually one of the first employees in Infosys, and their initial idea was to sell a software product to gas stations in Gujarat. So he used to go gas station to gas station in Gujarat and try to sell a
Who
software
would have
product.
thought?
So I think that is one learning that has been there, that you might start with something, do it with your full passion and your drive and everything, but be prepared to take massive U-turns and grab any new opportunity that comes along. You never know which is the one, right?
Absolutely.
And which one you're
Yeah, and I
ultimately going to get married to. You never know which is the one that will came. So just keep your eyes open and keep looking, because once you're in business, the good thing about being in business is you are exposed to these different opportunities that are going to come along your way. How successful you're going to be is going to depend on how smart you get in realizing which ones to pursue and which ones to drop, right? I think that is the essential quality that will be important for an entrepreneur. And so that is a brief. Does that answer your question, Ringo?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of segues me into my next question. Is, as a journey as an entrepreneur, needless to say, you kind of mentioned that you were helped along by friends, juniors, colleagues, network connections, which kind of brings me to the next topic of our discussion today. Is what has been your definition of empowerment? Where you, as you evolved, being in a larger setup, and then how have you kind of defined empowerment in your own world today, in an entrepreneur itself? What is your definition of empowerment?
See, we are a very nimble, small company still, right? 100 people, but definitely, I don't want to sound very trite and stereotypical, but empower obviously means giving responsibility with the authority, right? When I say authority, I mean means that basically the authority to take calls, make decisions, which will have a financial bearing, good or bad, on your business, right? I think as a leader, an entrepreneur's role is to decide when to empower somebody, how much to empower somebody, and who's that person that they need to empower. What are the qualities that you need to see in that person whom you want to empower? You cannot empower everybody, right? So this is my, in my opinion, for me, trust is number one. Before I empower somebody in my team, I need to know that I can trust that person. I need to know that his career goals is aligned with the company's growth and performance. That is very important for me, trust and alignment of goals. So that is the first thing I look for. Then how much to empower is something that's on a case-to-case basis. You need to decide, right? It could be like, okay, you can say that, you want to hire up to 3 people, whether you want to hire a mid-level person, whether you want to hire a junior person, that kind of flexibility. You need to give them some elbow room to make those decisions and calls. And I think, at least I believe in giving full freedom for them. Once I vetted that I trust the person and that his goals and objectives are aligned to the company. And lastly, most importantly, the person should be skilled too, right? He needs to be good. He needs to be a good performer. You can only empower people whom you not only trust from a pure emotional point of view, but also from a capability point of view. You need to have that confidence in that person. So once these things are taken care of, the next part of empowerment, according to me, is transparency. A lot of people try to talk of empowerment without being transparent with the person that they are trying to empower. One thing I'm very proud of is I've always been very transparent. Once I'm empowering, I've empowered a few people. Once I empower a person, I'm very transparent. That person knows how much revenue we are going to make, how much is our cost, what is our gross margin, what is our net margin, and you'll be surprised. Sometimes they're shocked because people don't realize how much of hidden costs are there in a business, in running a business. They just look at, this is your selling price. They don't realize what your actual cost price is, and cost price includes your variable cost and your fixed cost. And when you're transparent, with the people you empowered, they really understand, and they become more conscious about your bottom line than you. So that's one thing I've realized in my journey empowering people, and they are so careful at the same time. They really want to make the right decisions when it comes to because they know that every decision they make has a cost implication for the company. So does that answer your question, Ringo? So these are some important
Absolutely. I think I love the fact that you kind of said the whom, how, and who, and where, when.
Right.
Very important questions to answer. And I think trust and transparency, I guess, are dependencies, right? If you don't have that, I guess it's not even on the table.
No, you have to be transparent, right? You need to be transparent with them, and that actually I think helps a lot in.
And I think the reason I kind of picked this topic to discuss it with leaders like yourselves is that entrepreneurial organizations, you don't have a safety net most times, and you need to have people back you and to help you, right? You can't do it alone. So it is necessary that you need to empower, but there are enough stories about how things have gone wrong. You empower and people have lost and people have gone belly up, and so there are enough stories around the negatives of empowerment, what has happened. So I am assuming that there are lots of successful firms which are entrepreneurial in nature as well, who have done so well. So my hope is that we can learn something as to what you have done right, which kind of brings me to the next question. What are the benefits of empowerment in your mind?
The first big thing is their level of motivation, right? The level of motivation. Huge difference. Once they are empowered and they know that you're transparent, they are really motivated. You can see it. And as I told you earlier, they are more focused on your bottom line and your success, and they take it personally, right? They're personally there. It's not just a 9-to-5 job for them anymore once you empower people. Also, once you empower people, they are the kind of trust that they develop, and they know, especially if you're transparent, and they know you as a person, right? They sort of trust. Today, I can confidently say that at least the 4 or 5 critical people in our company that I have empowered, I know that they're going to be with me in this journey. It's not that they cannot get another job tomorrow at a 40% higher salary. They can, but they know that if they look at a time horizon of 3 years, or even 3 to 5 years, if they look at a time horizon of 3 to 5 years, where are they going to be better off, here or there? I think that is the call that they will. It's very easy for them to make that call, right? So that is the key benefit. You're able to retain people better. They are not short term in their object. They're not going to jump for a few dollars more, right? Each time. Once you empower them, their time frame is going to change. It's going to increase how they evaluate an opportunity, right? So those are some of the key benefits. One is the focus, dedication, focus on commercial bottom line, which many employees, even senior employees, managers, don't have, because for them they're just worried, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this. They're task oriented rather than actual bottom line oriented. With empowerment, the benefit is they are also focused on the commercial success of that engagement, right? Not just the delivery part of it, but the commercial success. Sometimes you can deliver the product, but you can be late, you can have cost overruns, and it can be a loss-making proposition for the company. But empowerment will address those kind of challenges. And of course, their time frame, the way their loyalty improves, and they look at this as a longer term commitment and journey with you. So those are some of the key benefits.
Excellent. I think that kind of very, very critical, because one thing that you mentioned about this bottom line orientation, right? That people keep battling with that for the rest. Like you rightly said, large corporates, large organizations are struggling with that challenge all the time. They're saying, how do we make people more driven? And there are enough training programs and developmental, challenges people have. So, it's an interesting area. If you just simply empower people and give them the reins, now they are, the monkeys on their shoulder at some level. So,
Also, one more thing I wanted to just add is in a large company, there are great managers, right? There are very brilliant people at the top who definitely will be empowering people. But the one problem in those companies is even that person who's empowering himself is an employee. He
Exactly.
might not be there tomorrow. He might himself change his
True,
job
true.
or move on or things like that.
Very true.
So, in an entrepreneurial company, if you are being empowered by the founder or by the entrepreneur, it's a different experience, right?
I agree.
It's a different experience.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying it's all rosy, but it has certain advantages over getting empowered in a large organization.
I agree. So, playing the devil's advocate while we talk about the benefits, do you see challenges in empowerment in an entrepreneurial organization?
Challenges. There are always challenges, Ringo, especially when you're dealing in a company that is geographically distributed. You're sitting here in Dallas or New Jersey, and you're trying to empower somebody sitting in Hyderabad or Bangalore. You're so far away, right? And the person being empowered is managing a team, he's got people. So there is always a concern that they could end up becoming a power center. And I have no problem with them having authority and power, but can they start playing favorites? Can they bring in their personal biases in their decision making? I'm not doubting their focus on the task or focus on the bottom line, which I mentioned earlier. I'm more worried about people, right? People to people interaction. Can they bring in their personal biases? Can they start playing favorites? You know what I mean. Personal biases. Everybody has personal biases, but at least are they consciously trying to avoid those personal biases, or they're actually going to go overboard and actually sort of give in to those personal biases? That is one thing that I'm a little worried when I empower people. What else? So I think the one way to address that is to constantly talk about it with them. Sometimes just bringing it out in the open addresses that issue. You have to tell them, hey, look, I'm empowering you. You can hire the people. You can do it. But please remember that I'm trusting that you're not going to bring your personal biases. I don't want all the people being hired coming from your village. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. So you have to be extra careful about, and there is no harm or there is no shame in discussing it openly with the people that you're empowering. So that's one of the key challenges that I feel.
It's an interesting. Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially like you rightly said, in distributed organizations and where
when you're not there on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah, and even if there is access, I think physical access is not really a guarantee against such things. You're right.
Yeah.
Because it's just the attention, right? If they are responsible for a division, and even if they may be in the same office, you will be focusing on something else because your belief is, I have empowered this person, let me focus on the bigger problem.
Yeah.
But there's a problem brewing here while you don't notice.
Correct. And also you will empower the right person, you will give the right authority. There is no doubt. I'm assuming that if I'm empowering person X, that person X has the capability, has the drive, has the motivation, has alignment, which I mentioned earlier. The only thing you need to worry about really is the personal biases and personal weaknesses, right? That should not be creeping into their decision making.
That's a great point to make. So, Madhu, my last question for our interesting discussion today is, what advice or what suggestions would you give to anyone kind of grappling with empowerment? Should I, shouldn't I? That's a challenge most entrepreneurs struggle with, right?
Yeah.
Because letting go of because it's your baby, it's your child at some level, right? So how do you let go at the same time keep a balance? So what do you suggest? What's your suggestion?
So you mean advice to wannabe entrepreneurs or
existing entrepreneurs, seasoned leaders? I mean, I'm sure anyone would be happy to hear your experiences. What have you learned, and what can you share with us?
Yeah. So if I talk to a lot of people, right, who are very interested, who are very successful. I mean, a lot more successful than what I ever was in the corporate world, but they really want to. They're all getting to an age where they feel that this is their shot to become an entrepreneur, do something, they want to do. For most of them, they want this to be their last hurrah, right? And so one thing I realized is becoming an entrepreneur because you have no other option is not a good thing. Then you're not truly into it. Oh, I'm not getting a job, I've been without anything, and there should be some level of genuine desire to become an entrepreneur, right? It should not be, okay, there's nothing else I can do, so now let me try to do something. Because then what you're going to do, and I've seen this with many people, many smart people, they try to become an entrepreneur on the side, but they're constantly looking out for a position, looking out for a job, looking out for stability.
True.
Then you're not giving your 100. Then might as well just focus on finding a good position and do well in your career, rather than trying to do both. You're trying to balance both, and you're not doing justice both sides. So that is one advice I would give. Want to be entrepreneurs? If you're going to do it, decide on a timeline. Okay, for 2 years, I'm going to give it my all, give it everything, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, then I'll, I have this is my fallback option or something. But in that period of the 2 years, don't try to keep hedging your bets and try to do, keep saying, hey, can I get a job that will pay me this much so that I can get out of this risky venture? That is one advice I would give. Second advice is, again, which I mentioned earlier, you are going to meander. Don't assume that, you might have the best business brain, but whatever business plan you have, it will get thrown out of the window over a period of time, because you will meander, right? You will meander, your business will completely change. And even in fear, like I mentioned, right? In fear, Amazon trying to sell books, or IBM selling boxes to today being the world's largest services company, IT services company, and business process outsourcing company. So all of them have changed their focus area, right? Their business itself, basically they've changed their business. So be ready to change, to make those U-turns. Don't assume that your business plan that you started with is what your company will end up in. You might find wonderful new areas that you're going to focus on and be very successful. So keep that open mind. That is one. And what else? What other advice would I give? The other advice I would give is accept the ambiguity and uncertainty, right? There is going to be a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty. Please accept it. And that is the key difference between a job and being an entrepreneur, right? And lastly, the other advice I would give is, don't get emotionally attached to any of your initiatives that you're pursuing. You will start something, you want to build, you want to start, you want to build your own product, you want to do something, focus on it, give it, but if it is not working, be ready to walk away. Okay? And everything should come with a timeline, right? Having timelines is very critical, and you need to fail fast. As I say, whether it is a marriage or whether it is a business, if it's not working, it's not working. Beyond a point, it's better to just fail fast.
That's true, Madhu.
Right.
It's brand of humor.
So those are some of the advices which I can give from my personal experience.
Absolutely, Madhu. And I think I resonate with all of that you said. Ambiguity and uncertainty, you will meander, and don't think that any plan that you have put together is foolproof and it is likely to kind of get beaten up and totally changed. So absolutely, I think this is very it was fun for me. As always, talking to you is fun. Thank you so much for your thoughts and suggestions and your experiences, Madhu. And I wish you and NStarX all success and many more successes. And hopefully you will we'll hope have you on many more of these conversations. We are planning a lot more things for. This is primarily a forum for entrepreneurial leaders, so you kind of fit in perfectly in a forum like this. So I would look forward to many more interactions, Madhu. And thank you so much,
Ringo. Thanks for having me on this.
Thank you so much, Madhu.
All the best to you. Thanks. Bye.
Like, share, and subscribe to the EL Forum channel.